It's down as well. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Bite Size Branding live show. As you, if you've ever tried to do a live show, may have experienced technical difficulties, that would explain our lack of two guests at the moment. One of our guests, their internet dropped out in their office, and the other is messaging her to organize it. So great start. But we'll get up and we'll get it all running. I'm gonna add in Maddy now.
Hey, welcome
Maddy.
Hello.
Cool. So we thought we would just get live and start the show so we weren't too late. And while Nikki gets her internet up and running, we can start kicking stuff off. So I was just opening up the show and introducing it, and obviously going to then kick it over to Grant to give a bit of background on what the show's all about. And then we'll probably kick it over to you to do a little intro, and hopefully by that time Nikki's on as well, and she'll do a bit of an intro for herself as well. So for everybody that's joining us, thank you for joining us at lunchtime. As you all know, we are highly active on the show, so feel free to comment and ask questions, etc. while the show is live. We will see them all. But I'll kick it over to Grant to explain the show while I let Nikki back in.
Well, folks, thanks very much, Bernard. Yes, my name's Grant Tom, and I'm known in the industry as a head firefighter. What that means is I get ideas going, I get businesses growing, and at the same time, I make sure that brands are building and being effective in their daily. But on the show of Bite Size Branding, we take two professionals like Bernard and myself, and we chase the clock with you of working out subject matter with. So what we do periodically is we invite guests, like we have today with Nikki and Maddy, to come on in and to budge in with their conversation, their thoughts, and their expertise as to their field of experience that they've got in the marketing space. So we increase the clock to 7 minutes. It's not much time, but we got to get the conversation going. And for those who are watching the show for the first time, it's for us to unbundle a subject matter in 7 minutes and less, and to listen to all the professionals' different point of view. Not necessarily means it's correct or wrong, but at the same time, it's about how it will work and how it makes it effective in the marketplace. So over to you, Bernard.
Awesome. So as you can see, Nikki has now joined us. Welcome, Nikki.
Hi, thanks.
She's in her Maserati.
I'm in the Maserati.
Yeah, she's Nikki. Just to explain to everyone that's tuning in, you had to go and escape your office to find some better internet because the Wi-Fi went down in the office, right? That's what happened.
I did, and now I'm parked in the middle of some random side street. So pray for me.
Perfect. Well, we got you all on video and you're live, so there's nothing that could happen, right? Nothing can go wrong.
Nothing can go wrong.
Live TV, nothing that can happen.
That's it. Perfect. It's not like you haven't done that before. So guys, what we're going to do?
Both of you as well? Or?
No, it's not that show. Look, while we've got you and you've kind of highlighted a little bit of your background, why don't you give us a little bit of background on you and your history, kind of like your claim to fame backstory.
So my claim to fame is I was on The Bachelor, and I was also the Dessert Boxes Bachelorette last year, and I run a charity for cancer patients. So marketing myself in like very different sort of fields, if that makes sense, like from becoming a bachelorette to also founding a foundation, I'm obviously perceived in very different lights in both sort of sectors.
And I think what was interesting about that is how you've kind of maintained the reputation that you've built there, because a lot of people have been on TV or been on The Bachelor or had their 15 seconds of fame, but then did nothing with it. They didn't leverage it and create something from it. And I think that's what's interesting about your story is you've kind of built something out of this personality that you've created. Oh, is she frozen? Well, cool. While Nikki continues to figure out her internet problems, Maddy, tell us a little bit about your background, your industry experience, and what you've kind of learned and developed through that.
Yeah, so at 14, I started competing in national pageants, and I've been lucky enough to compete in 5 international pageants, and all of which that I've been associated with in one way or another. So I've been very lucky in that way, and I've leveraged all the experiences that I've had in the context to be able to start 2 businesses. So I've started a stylist brand and a jewelry and lingerie company. So it's kind of leveraging off my love of fashion and helping people, because my background is as a youth worker, and using that to help people in a more integrated way that, is through fashion.
Wow, cool. So you started 2 brands off the back of that.
Yeah.
And cool.
Awesome. And then by pageantry, obviously, in case people are wondering what that means, you mean explain a little bit more about pageantry.
Yeah, so pageantry, I mean, the biggest one you could really look at is Miss Universe. And then from there you have lots of smaller systems that branch off of it. You've got the 5 main ones, and then you have heaps underneath it. But I've been able to travel the world and compete in all different, usually smaller systems that are run by the government. But it means that there's funding, so they pay for me to go international, and then I talk to their contacts and get work.
So do you need to then put together a bit of a proposal or something like that in order to access those, or what's the typical process that you go through to get into those pageants?
So there are different national pageants in Australia, and then from there you can get in contact with different organisers or directors, as they're called in the industry, and they send you overseas. But once you get sent overseas once or twice, from there you can use those contacts usually to continue going overseas.
Very interesting. It looks like we just got Nikki back again, so let's just see when her camera gets on, and then we can add her back in. There she is.
Completely frozen.
Oh, well, you're still good. Don't touch
you
it.
haven't frozen.
Yes.
Well, that's good, because everyone else has.
Nikki, are you back?
I am. Hello.
The exciting live feed.
Oh my
Awesome,
God.
guys. Well, as we mentioned, Nikki has had to run around to find a new space in order to join us today. You are on live. Yeah. There you go. Look at that. Well
Brilliant.
done. Awesome. Well,
She's
if you guys are if you guys are both ready, we'll kick into the first question.
Yes.
Let's have it.
Yeah. Okay, so the way this works is I'll kind of preface the first question, and then I'll make a big signal to that that the clock is starting, and then we've got 7 minutes to kind of really talk it all through and
Can I mention though?
Sorry?
Mine has stopped at 5:03 and it's just frozen, so I can't see anything.
You're frozen. Wow.
Yeah,
maybe
everyone else is frozen, but
maybe just put the app down and open it up again, and then hopefully it will kick back into gear. While
go.
you do, wow, girls, the technical problems, man. That is it. Cool. So let's preface a little bit of the first question, and when Maddy gets back in, we'll talk through it in a bit more detail. She's just joining back now. So as I mentioned, as we've already discussed, we talked a lot about your kind of background and your history. Let's dive a little bit deeper into what it's taken to kind of build these personas, and how do you maintain them successfully so people then, when they interact with you, treat you like a professional personal brand or a bit of an influencer. So you guys ready to talk through that in 7 minutes?
let's do it.
Let's get going.
Let's do it. I'm going to hit it right now. Boom. Hey. Oh, and then I close the app. Grant, go.
All right. So basically, in order to be associated with brands, you've got to be a certain type of personality. Nikki and Maddy, tell us a little bit about, what does it take for this personality? What's involved in order for a brand to connect with someone like yourselves?
Do you want to go first, Nick? All right. No.
She's frozen again.
Me.
Wow. Yeah, go for it.
Thank you, guys. So essentially for me, it's all built around myself and who I am as a person. My stylist and lingerie company are built around the fact that I'm a youth worker, and I like to help people from an internal place to make them feel whole and to feel good about themselves, and build an outwardly perspective around that. When it comes to my social media and my personal branding, obviously it's all an image, and it's about creating who you want to be and who you want to be perceived to be as well. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't necessarily have to be perfect all the time, but obviously there is like a percentage of wanting to put out an image that is, entertaining, but at the same time, somewhat attainable. I think that's really important, is when you look at different celebrities all the time, it's not attainable. And I don't believe in photoshopping my images, and I want people to look at me and see that it is genuine and that it is real and that it is attainable for them, and promote something good in society, and for young kids to feel like, you know, they don't have to Photoshop their images or go and get Botox or anything like that. But when it
So
comes
do you
to
think that-
Nikki, her
yeah.
content, her
go,
content's
go,
just
go.
really funny.
Yeah.
And that's just who she is as a person. So I think her content is just based around who she is.
So do you think a level of authenticity is kind of what drives good influential content these days?
Yes and no. I think it depends on what you build your brand around. If you're creating a brand like, say, Kim Kardashian, that's not exactly built on authenticity, but you also have a team of people behind you to help you create what you want to create on that image. So I think it's about who you want to be and who you want to be perceived to be. And once you figure that out, then you can build your brand around that. But yeah. Sorry.
And what kind of brands do you like to associate with, in the sense of, you know, your personality? What are the kind of brands that you like to partner with?
I like to associate with small brands, or brands that have like an integrated system to work with, you know, people who might be disadvantaged. For instance, Tree of Life at the moment has a collection where they've turned old saris that are made of 100% silk into other pieces that would otherwise go into landfill. And my company, Soul Work & Co, is built with merino wool with all end of roll pieces. So that way what I'm creating would all be put into landfill otherwise. So for me, it's about, you know, supporting people who, you know, might otherwise not have fun or advantages, but also, you know, doing something good for the environment in the process as well. Even supporting small business, I think, is really important as well.
Awesome. And
what about brands that have never used an influencer before? What are they thinking? What do they need to be considering by taking someone on board?
I think it depends on what they want to get out of it, really. It's a thing for the brand itself. If you want someone to take photos with your food, by all means, an influencer is perfect. If you have a brand where you need, you know, a bunch of clothes taken photos of, an influencer or a model is perfect. But if you want someone to go around and take photos and potentially shed light to the company, again, an influencer is perfect. But having an understanding of, you know, what you want from your company and where you want that to go and what that influencer is for is important, because you could use an influencer for anything, but it's about the brand and what they want out of it at the end of the day. It's not necessarily about me, because I could do anything within my morals and boundaries, obviously. But, you know, you could use somebody as an influencer to do whatever you need based on the company, but as long as the company needs that is really the most important thing.
So what about the pressure? Does it put a lot of pressure on you to kind of maintain this image through your content?
Yeah, all the time. And to keep it really entertaining and to post all the time, especially when you have other commitments going on. Like, there are people that post like 100 stories a day. I couldn't imagine being that person. I don't have that time.
I would
and
unfollow that person.
There's a tradition at the moment in pageantry to do 100 appearances. And that's just people who are going, it's a thing in the UK, and people are doing it to go over to represent the UK, potentially to see if they're going to win that particular pageant. I couldn't imagine putting all those hours into doing all those appearances with all those different people. Like, it's just not something that I as a person would do. Again, it's not my brand. So if it is your brand, by all means, that's what you've built, that's what you have to create. You know, if you make your bed, you better lie in it. But that's not what I created, thank God. But yeah, there is a certain level of pressure. But
and what happens when you're involved with a brand that you don't really have a feeling for? What then?
I don't know. It depends on why you don't have a feeling for that brand. Either, if you're there as a model, you can fake it and pretend like it's all okay. But if you're doing it as an influencer and it's based on your own personal image and you're doing it contra, which is like, time in return for photos or investment or whatever it is, then obviously it wouldn't be worth pursuing it based on the fact that you don't agree with that brand. So for me, with my socials, obviously I wouldn't be promoting brands that I don't believe in, but at the same time, there is a certain level of authenticity that I believe is really important.
Yeah.
Well, we only have a couple more seconds.
I'm glad I tuned in
Nikki,
now.
yeah, Nikki made it right on the end of the first question.
Nikki couldn't get a word in edgeways.
And Nikki, a very silent partner in this. Yeah.
Just
Very
I don't like it. But basically, for me as well, like I won't endorse products that I don't believe in. So a company that was selling vapes tried to reach out for me. Now, my mum died of lung cancer. I've never smoked. She's never smoked. I'm not going to endorse a product I don't believe in. And when I do give a review, I'll give you an honest review as well. Like I tend to use humor as a way to review products, but also I'll give you my honest opinion as well.
Yeah, great. Well, that actually kicks really well into our next question. So you got here at the best time.
I knew it. Just in time.
Perfect timing. So our next question is about brands and how do you align with those brands, and what is it that that those brands gain from working with you? And likewise, what do you then provide to the brand working with them? So let me hit the clock. Are you ready?
Yeah, let's keep going.
Let's do this. Let me see if I can do this.
You can go first.
Boom, Nikki, go first.
Let's see how much this
Clock's not ticking.
Western Sydney. So
The clock's not ticking. Bernard.
Oh, the clock's not ticking. Jeez.
Oh.
There you go.
Okay.
Go.
Right, let's go.
Nikki.
Right, Nikki, hit it.
Okay, so brands can gain different things off you. Like you can gain different things off brands, and it all depends on the image that they're wanting to portray. So, for example, I don't know, like a dress company might like to work with you because they like the way that you describe their product, or they've seen you review other products like that in the past. And by having you on board, you're also reaching out to thousands of people that are associated with you. So like, for example, if Maddy's wearing a dress and I really like her dress, I'm going to spend money on it if I see it on her story. Whereas, like she has that influential spin on people, I guess, as well. And also, like, I gain stuff in the sense that, like, I gain really cool products and things that I might not have gained before. So for me, like, I grew up with literally nothing. Like, when I was a teenager, I lived in poverty for a point in time with my mum. So the fact that, these big brands, like, want to reach out with me and work with me, like I did work with Crown the other week and I went to one of their events, which is absolutely amazing. But they gain, my image per se of using their product, and I in return get to go to these cool events and like eat cool snacks. Like, who doesn't like snacks? Anyway, so yeah. But also on the flip side, so I run a charity for cancer patients, like I was saying before, and a few products have tried to reach out to work with my charity brand as well, and it's been great because they provide donations in the sense that I can raffle off items and things like that to help people in need. So yeah,
brilliant.
That's just one good question before we kick the same question over to Maddy. How big is your following across your networks?
On Instagram or on my
either across both.
So I have about 10,000 followers on Instagram.
Yeah.
And then the charity, I've just relaunched the charity's Instagram actually, but we also have a website and a Facebook page, and we do a bunch of fundraisers throughout the year. Come see me at Bunnings Barbecues.
What's the charity name?
Sharon's Wish. So it's after my mum.
Sharon's Wish. Fantastic. Awesome. We'll put a link to that in the comments later on as well. If anyone is interested in donating and supporting, please do. It's obviously a good, that's it. So Maddy, same question. The benefit of aligning with brands and brands aligning with you.
And how big is your audience?
Yeah, how big is your audience?
I think from memory it's like 37,000. but I can't
just a
quite
couple.
remember.
Yeah, just a few.
At the end of the day, like, Instagram's a little bit like Monopoly. Like, I mean, it's beautiful to have this number and it's beautiful to have so many people that care about me. But, you know, if it all goes sour or pear-shaped one day, I'm not going to be left with very much except for a few people that really do care about me, supposedly. So, but when it comes to aligning with brands, I like to align with smaller companies. I like to go to things like markets, and when I work with a lot of my customer base, styling them, I go to a lot of secondhand stores and I work with a lot of charities in that way because I like to support smaller companies and obviously giving back. That's just something that I personally like. And that's kind of what I associate with is smaller companies and brands that I can talk to the owner and come up with some kind of agreement with. And usually I come up with like a plan. For instance, I work with an incredible designer of bridal gowns, and she custom makes gowns to fit my body. But in return, I just get to use them whenever I compete in pageants. So I can just use $5,000 gowns whenever I choose to. And she can custom make pieces and fix them for me, and she's kind of like a second mum. So for me, it's not necessarily about who I'm aligning with, it's a person that I'm aligning with and understanding their branding and what they want to create, because at the end of the day, I'm an empath. I want to help people. I've created my business, both of them, to help people and to make people feel beautiful from the inside. And if they can feel beautiful from the inside, then they can look beautiful on the outside.
And she sees a return from that for her business?
Yeah, exactly. Because I shoot all her campaigns and I model for her, and then I get used as the fit model and we just chat and it's great. And I have quite a few deals like that with different companies where it's like,
so it's quite mutual.
From a brand perspective is the fact that, you know, for a brand, it's quite risky to take on a personality their brand, because anything can go wrong and then you're in defense mode or recovery mode to try and recover. So therefore, I think what Maddy and Nikki have both come up with is the fact that to be authentic, to be sincere, to be themselves is the best role model that they can be for any brand to be connected to them and to be represented to them, and by influence to the market share that they represent is very important. Because at the end of the day, if things were to go wrong, the crisis of that to bring their brand back into recovery would be far more expensive. So therefore, it is about having consistency on the influencer side.
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely.
I'm word vomit, sorry, mild stroke. But I work with several beauty companies that I have a sense of agreement with, like Maddy does with the bridal gown company. And thank God for that, because I'm telling you right now, I used to look like an Oompa Loompa before, and now I actually have a good tan. But in doing so, like,
I can second that.
I have been in the media, the media actually wrote an article on how much my tan's improved from Touch of Genius Beauty. So, you know, it makes their brand look better by associating, like, they fix her up at me, I guess, you know?
Wow. So, like, even without even provoking it.
First time I met Nikki.
Yeah.
Yeah, first time I met Nikki, she was showing me her fake tan, and I still remember, like, all the orange everywhere. And you just done a post on your social media saying that you were hiring someone to do a fake tan.
Wow.
Yeah. So I actually last
you showed it to
on Job Seeker if someone could help me tan my back. We had lots of applicants, but Touch of Genius Beauty Salon, they were successful.
They took the cake.
Wouldn't change.
So I think so something on that just before we kick into the last subject of the show. What's really interesting about the personality you've kind of built is it's very, very playful, very out there, right? It's pretty shocking sometimes. Yeah, and that's the thing, right? This is like naturally you. Like, this is not necessarily like you're not putting it on for the show. This is an extension of yourself, right?
Yeah, I'm always just high on life. I think that, you know, my motto in life is be afraid and do it anyway. Because even if you're scared, I think you should push yourself to be the best that you can possibly be. And I'm just like, I'm so grateful that I'm here. So like, I try and enjoy every experience and opportunity for what it is, rather than, you know, criticizing myself like, oh, I wouldn't be able to, you know, for example, dance. I'll go and dance because I want to, and why not? You know, like.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's a great message. We'll have to pull that out when we write the blog after this. We'll just pull that quote out. Yeah,
absolutely.
Awesome. So last question of the show, and this one we thought we'll just have a little bit of fun with you and get a little bit of background about you guys. Obviously, you've had a ton of experiences out there, and Maddy was filling me in on one of them last night as well, when we were prepping for the show. And I think, you know, you guys must just experience so many things doing this side of your life, you know, not only the professional side, but also this persona, this brand persona, personality that you've created. Tell us a little bit more about those experiences. If you've ever experienced something like freaky with another influencer that you've collaborated with. Yeah.
I wanted to say something quickly. Good.
Yeah.
So basically, this is the part of the show where you get that edutainment. I had to just get a little bit of education, a little bit of education, a little bit of entertainment. This is over to the girls now. Give us that edutainment segment, please.
Let me hit the clock.
Welcome to my TED Talk.
Yeah,
let's hit the clock.
The mic drop section.
Yeah, Mads, tell us. Yeah. Oh, Nikki, who wants to go first?
Where to begin?
Okay, we'll let Maddy start, and we'll get back to you. Maddy.
All right. So I think working as an influencer, like, yeah, you can get a lot of strange situations and weird people that you work with, and you have to find ways to get out of it, or very unentertaining environments, or very interesting people, as Nikki and I both know about. I know exactly what you're thinking here. But deep down, I think the hardest thing out of being an influencer would be being a model. And a lot of bad things happen being a model. I've actually taken people to court. I've had people try to get me to do a lot of really quite disgusting things. And you have to find ways to kind of get out of it. But the shining little light of all the events that I've been to was probably going with Nikki and just enjoying them and kind of having fun, because she has this really amazing personality. And I was telling Bernard the story of when we first met, because she says to me, my claim to fame is my descendant, my great-great-great-great-great-grandfather made the armor for Ned Kelly. And I was like, no way, we're practically related, because I'm the most direct descendant you can get of Ned Kelly. So a lot of the time I'll dress Nikki, and, you know, she'll go to different events dressing as red flags or whatever she decides to do. And she'll just, and she'll just go, you know, my ancestors dressed her ancestors, so it's about time she dresses me. So, you know, like it's a fun little thing that I guess we have to.
Sorry, boys, Maddy and I are forever putting clothes on each other rather than taking them off.
Exactly.
That's
he dresses me a lot as well, which is.
So you guys just met at an event, right? I think you said it was a guest event or something like that, and you both met there, and then Nikki, as she always does, just randomly says something, and of which was, my ancestors made the armor for Ned Kelly, and then you're like, no way, I'm the most direct descendant.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's crazy.
Ever since.
Adorable. When's the wedding again? There's plenty of dresses to go around.
Putting clothes on and being in love since 6 months ago. No, a year ago now.
Oh, pre-COVID, a pre-COVID relationship.
I
know. It's lasted a long time.
We caught feelings before we caught COVID.
It's lasted a very long time. Most relationships cracked through COVID, but we got stronger.
So, Nikki, tell us a little bit of your experiences. Is she frozen again? Obviously, when we kick it back to her. Oh, there she is. I think she's back.
Is she?
Come on, Nikki.
Come on, Western Sydney
That's
internet.
Pretty funny. So for one event, I dressed Nikki in a 3 meter long bright red skirt, And she walked around the entire time going, I'm dressed as all of my exes, a red flag. And it just became this big thing. And we had so much
How do you
fun.
walk?
So I guess
How do you walk in a 3-meter dress? Where is the rest of the dress?
it
Trailing?
has a big thigh-high split. So the designer that I was referring to that I use to
wedding
create
dresses.
gowns, she made me a 3-meter long red skirt with a thigh-high split for another client. So I gave it to
Wow.
Nikki to use for this event. She made it in 2 days.
Wow. That's very cool.
Yeah.
Very, very. What was the name of that supplier?
Yeah, her name's Angela Osagi Bridal. She's amazing.
Very cool.
Amazing.
Very, very cool. She's back. Nikki's back. There you go. You're back on. You're back on. Tell us some of your funky influencer or
Crazy moments.
experiences. Yeah, industry experiences.
There's been so many. Obviously, Maddy was one of them. Like, what are the chances of that? Like, to meet her in that way. Just basically shaking my booty on bar tops. Good puns and nice buns since '94. Is part of my brand, I guess.
I took photos of that.
What about your whole bridal Bunnings thing? What generated that idea? Where did that come from? Oh no! Don't tell us we lost her now.
No.
Ah, Nikki. do you know the backstory?
Bridal.
I do. So it was like a TikTok trend that went viral, and then she decided that she was going to go through Bunnings and wear a gown, like a bridal dress, and go around looking for a husband, get a stud finder and check to see if they're studs. And she decided that she couldn't get a sausage at the end, so she went to the sausage sizzle.
Oh wow! And so she came up with the concept on her own, or did she see something that kind of sparked the idea on TikTok?
I think there was something on TikTok, and then she decided to make it better.
Just level it up, took it to the next level.
Yeah, just leveled it up. Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, I like that.
She's back. Is she back?
Am I back?
Oh, you're back.
Yeah, Nick dog.
Nick just appears, does something fun like this, and then disappears.
So I don't know. I probably have like 10 kids.
That's what she always does.
Yeah, so
exactly what I do.
So Maddy told us.
Bring it home.
So Maddy told us that concept that you had to the Bunnings thing. Was that something that you came up with that idea, or did you pull that idea from something that you saw? How did you come up with that? Oh, don't tell me she froze again. She'll make it just in time for the outro at this rate. Well, guys, I think what's really interesting is that the experiences have really varied, and I think one thing that you said that was really quite shone quite a light on this whole thing is that even though it seems all glamorous on the outside, or that you're having a lot of amazing experiences, there's a lot of darker experiences that just never come to light, and they're kind of tucked away in the background. I think probably to maintain your image and to not affect others' images too much, because obviously with your influence you could
Done.
You could do some damage. Yeah.
You could do
Most
some
definitely.
damage. Yeah. So it works both ways, right? It works both ways.
Yeah. Exactly. It's all give and take, but again, you have to make sure you align with the right brand, and that's why I always go with small brands, because I have a lot to lose by using the wrong brand, and they have a lot to lose by not creating their business and building it. So it's a win-win situation where I can support small business and, do something good for other people. Again, it all comes down to the fact that I'm an empath and want to help people. So
I think the lesson I've taken out of today's show is the fact that even though you are yourself as an influencer and as a personality, this is not an easy job. There's a lot of thought, a lot of hard work, and a lot of slog gets involved with the view to position yourself and the brand associated with you to get them the positioning and the viewership that you promised.
most definitely.
Do we have Nikki back now?
And I think as well, like people seem to forget, like there's all the editing behind the scenes. Seem to forget as well, like there's lots of editing that goes into the content that we produce, or like even though it looks like we're having a fun time, a lot of people seem to forget to actually enjoy themselves at these events. So like they won't go swimming because it'll ruin their makeup. Whereas like I'll happily go swimming, but I'll also get the content for the brand. But you know what I mean? Like you gotta enjoy it and take it for what it is as well.
Most definitely.
Yeah, and just be a good human.
That's a good point.
So easier said than done.
Yeah. One last question, actually, just to throw it in there before we wrap up the show. If people want to get in touch with influencers, is it better for them to do it directly? Are there agencies for them to go through? What is the best way to get in touch with yourselves or other people that are in that space?
Slide in the DMs. Slide in the DMs.
I second that.
Really?
I second that.
Wow. Very interesting. And do you prefer that one-to-one connection with the person who's reaching out to you rather than them coming through an agency or something like that?
200%, because then you can evaluate their standards and get to know them as a person rather than just their brand. Because I don't, you don't want to align yourself with, crappy. So
and we all get a bunch of agencies contacting us all the time, and it's always the same ones, and they're always posting on social media, and it's always really disingenuous, and I just cast them off because I'm like, stuff that, it's not a person, it's not a brand, I don't know anything about them, I don't want to be connected. And there's a lot of brands at the moment that make you pay for shipping and in return get a really crappy item and then don't even want to see the photos, and it's just a waste of time, and you've spent $20 for the sake of spending $20. So you want to make sure if you're getting, a message from a brand that you can vet it, that you can talk to that brand. I personally prefer to work with brands that I meet. So I'd prefer to go into a small business and have a chat to someone, or go to a market stall and have a chat to someone, and then go and work with that brand because I can meet the owner and get to know them as a person and vet them that way. But at the end of the day, it's what works for you and what kind of brand you've created as an influencer.
Also, that creates furthermore. Sorry.
No,
I was going to say that creates furthermore marketing opportunities in terms of your businesses. So, like for me, if I go in and meet a brand and say I do some work for that brand, perhaps they'll want to donate some items to my charity as well, which will in turn help my cancer patients. It's like going down the line.
Yeah, so it's like multi-level, and you kind of like cross.
Multifaceted.
Yeah, that's
cool.
And
it's like if I work with a brand, I'll use those items to style a client again, which means that I'm using my brand, and then they'll employ me as a stylist. So it's all multi-leveled.
Wow, amazing. Look, there's a lot of depth in there, much more than I think what people see at the finished product when they're watching the funny story or the entertaining piece of content that you put out there, or the informative piece of content that you've put out there. And I love how you guys aren't just doing it to do it, that you're looking for brands that you really love and you're passionate about. And you also look at multi-level marketing opportunities for both yourself and for the brand. So you're kind of cross-supporting each other rather than a one-way relationship, which I think is amazing. Obviously, this is kind of like the end part of the show, and thank you both so much for joining us. Nikki, sorry about all the technical issues.
About the internet connection.
That's okay. But look, for the moments that you were able to chime in, it was awesome getting that information for you. And Maddy, thank you for filling in those gaps and helping us understand a bit more about Nikki's story as well, but your own story and your own journey. You guys had a wealth of information. I can't wait to release this. So it'll come out in the next couple of months. We'll put together a blog and re-release this content, but obviously it can be found on YouTube and Facebook. And I think this is streaming live to Instagram, but I don't know if I got it working. But it was a trial, first time. Grant, wrap up the show, my man.
Look, I think that's Nikki said a word there, be scared and do it anyway is exactly where you need to live. And I think that was tremendous. I just think it's a case of just get out there, be yourself, be authentic, be sincere, but be good to the earth. And at the same time, associate with good brands with you to add value. I think it's all about adding value in this day and age. We live in such a falsehood. Let's be genuine for a change. And I think this is a great show.
Awesome. That was the line of the show. Thank you guys for having us. Thank you both for joining us. Awesome, guys. We'll catch you soon. Catch you at the next dancing.
Bye.
Thank you, ladies. Thank you. Bye.
Potentially tonight.
Yeah.